Welcome, everyone, to the November 6, 2025 meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 extending certain COVID measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until June 30, 2027. This meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can access the proceedings provided for in the order. People who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the following phone number: 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 922-441-325#, or join the meeting via the link on the Microsoft Teams posted agenda. This is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, but despite our best efforts, we may not be able to post a live real-time access. We will post a recording of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue, hearing, or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair. Let me just take a moment to say that our policy is hats off, and all gadgets that make any noise in any fashion off. Any long conversations, please take them to the hall. And if you are going to speak, once recognized, please approach the microphone over there and don't talk till you get there or you'll get knocked at. Not by me. Okay. So the first thing we do is we take a roll call vote of all board members, affirming that they agree with this form of meeting. After that, anybody that is going to participate via the call, just make sure we know who you are and what you want. Then you or your representative will present your appeal after staff reads the notice. Anyone in favor may speak up to 5 minutes. After that, I will read or summarize all letters that we receive. Anyone against the application or appeal may speak also up to 5 minutes, or if you have any questions, there'll be a clock on the board showing how much time you have left. Then the applicant can rebut anything that they heard or anything that was in the letters. Members of the board will ask questions to anyone present. We hear further information, close the public hearing, deliberate, and vote. All votes are taken by roll call, and at the end of the meeting, we close via verbal confirmation and note the time of adjournment. So first we start with that roll call of all board members. Mr. Veach?
Yes, David H. Veach, and I approve of this meeting format.
Ed Acton, I approve.
David S. Nixon, I approve.
Paul C. Semple, I approve.
Lee Hovey, I approve.
Stephen D. DeBoer, and I approve.
Virginia Fenwick, I approve.
And Randy Potash, I approve as well. Okay, do we have minutes, Paul?
Yes, we have minutes for two meetings, the first being October 2nd, 2025. I wonder if there are any additions or corrections to those minutes.
Yeah, there's a couple minor changes. Near the bottom of page 1, actually it's the second line up, we want to change it. It reads change to a single one-sided sign. We want to change that to a single two-sided sign. And then on page 4, under the third grouping of bullet points about halfway down the page, we want to, starting with the, it starts with a bullet point saying, starting with Mr. DeBoer. The next 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points indicate that he asked these questions, but we want to put in that Ed Acton asked questions on bullet points number, well, there's intervening ones, but in any further where it says Mr. DeBoer, it's Ed Acton.
Okay.
Straighten that out.
I'll move.
And so, yeah.
All right, do you have more on that one?
No, I'm all set.
Anybody else have any changes? No? Okay, go ahead.
I'll move to approve the minutes for October 2nd, 2025 as amended.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Okay, second set of minutes.
Yes, we have the minutes for a meeting held on October 9, 2025. I wonder if there are any additions or corrections.
Yes, I wasn't present for the meeting, but I appear as being present and not present in the opening paragraph. So we just want to strike my name where it's listed under members
You're
present.
always in our thoughts, that's why.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. And so I don't know that I should vote on these, but I guess I can second if.
You can second it.
So I will second with that change.
I'll move to approve the minutes of October 9, 2025 as amended.
You second it?
Oh, I second, yes.
Okay, and Dave?
Yes.
All votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I think that's enough votes? Yeah, okay, good enough. So, I guess we will start with the first application that we're going to do is 202 Lime Hill Road.
Application number 25-065, the Lime Hill 22 Trust, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 202 Lime Hill Road, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 12E, Block 4, Lot B6. The applicant seeks to create an unpaved footpath and construct an elevated walkway under Section 4A3A of the protective bylaw. The lot contains 31,100 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, and Section 8D2B of the protective bylaw. This was continued from August 28th, 2025.
Welcome, Mr. Norcross.
Thank you, Jamie Norcross, on behalf of the Heiser family. We are asking for a continuance until your January 8th meeting. We are going back to conservation the beginning of December with revised plans, so we'd like to complete that process before coming back to the zoning board.
Okay, Paul?
All right, I'll move to continue that hearing from today to January 8, 2026.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
I vote yes.
All votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. It's
Thank you.
unanimous. All right, what's next?
Application number 25-101, Town of Chatham, care of Catherine Ricks, 549 Main Street, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 784 Orleans Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 11J, Block 6, Lot 6. The applicant proposes to relocate a non-conforming structure, antenna tower, on a conforming lot. The existing structure is non-conforming in that it is located 4.5 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District. The relocated structure will be non-conforming in that it will be located 45.6 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, where a 50-foot setback is required. The lot contains 164,000 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Welcome,
Good afternoon. Catherine Ricks. I'm the Coastal Resilience Director with the Town of Chatham,
welcome.
and I'm
Good
presenting.
to meet you. We haven't met you yet.
Yep, my first time here. And we're presenting the relocation of one of the Marconi Towers, the one that's closest to the Riders Cove boat ramp. So I'll go through the Section 5B. One, the adequacy of the size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot or building coverage and setbacks. The proposed project will improve the setback by moving it 40 feet in the landward direction away from the coastal bank. Two, compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with the neighboring properties. This is definitely a structure that is non-conforming. It's a structure that is a historic Marconi Tower, and that's why we're requesting the permit. Number three, extent of the proposed increase in non-conforming nature of the structure use. There will be no increase to the non-conforming, but an improvement by the 40-foot shift landward. Four, suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties or on the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater runoff. By moving the structure 40 feet landward, we're actually improving that and bringing it away from the coastal bank and away from the wetland resource areas. Five, impact of the scale, siting, and mass on the neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. There will be no change to it. It will be the same tower, just relocated. 6, compatibility of the proposed use with the neighboring uses. It is one of 3 of the historic towers in the area.
I think you've probably done what you need to do.
That's what, yeah. The rest of them are not applicable.
Yeah, I think you've achieved the goal of meeting the conditions, at least on your argument. Okay, is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this project? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will read the 2 correspondences that we received. Christina Bassett from the CHC tells us the structure is historically significant, but moving it does not materially diminish the significance of it. The structure is also a contributing structure in the National Register District, but did not constitute as a substantial change, so there's no reason to refer it to the Cape Cod Commission. We received that correspondence on November 4th, 2025. Then we have a note from the Conservation Commission, received October 16th, 2025, and the project will be conditioned to meet the performance standards of the Wetland Protection Act. That concludes our correspondences. Is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that has a question or wants to speak against the application? No. Okay, questions from the board. Are there any?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Could you give us an estimate of what you believe it's going to cost to move it to 40 feet?
We don't have any estimates on that yet. We want to make sure we have all the permits before we go out to bid.
Do you have any wild guess?
I don't at this time. I don't know what that's.
She's a new
cost.
employee.
Well, I know, I thought she might have some answers that all employees wouldn't have.
We haven't looked at that yet. Yeah, I don't have that yet.
I only asked that
question.
because you're not going very far,
No.
and
But they are going to remove a lot, some of the trees in the way, and then it's a pretty big crane that they have to bring in to move it.
how about a big helicopter?
Haven't thought of that.
You
That
could
could be
ride
an
up
option.
and plunk it down. Well, anyway, I'd just like to ask that question when the town wants permission to do something. So gee, if any of us were doing it, we'd have an idea, you know?
Okay.
I-
Yes, Virginia Fenwick.
Yeah, I just had a question about the location. Moving it landward 40 feet, totally understand that, because it's 4 feet right now from the cliff. But why not like closer to the parking lot? Like, why there? Just because I did notice you have to remove a lot of trees. And you still would remove trees, but they're not as nice as they get closer to the parking lot. Just curious about the location.
So to keep it kind of far away from the bank, how the bank comes around actually before the parking area. So trying to keep distance from that as well as from that part of the
On
bank.
that side? the bank
Yes,
on
from
that
both
side.
sides, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I had somewhat along the same line. You're relocating it, but you're still going to be non-conforming. It's going to be 45.6 feet where a 50-foot setback is required. Why not comply with the setback?
The way that this was designed was so that it would be moved, but not removing as many trees as if we were going to move it back further, and keeping it away from the bank around the whole structure and keeping it from the edge of the parking lot as well.
And you can't do that and comply with the 50-foot setback?
Not from what the engineer had done. This was to get the foundation in there and keep away from the bank.
And I guess my second question is, I kept thinking to myself, well, what is this being used for? I guess it's not being used for anything. It's just to preserve its existence?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Anybody else? Questions? No? Okay, Paul.
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
Paul votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. So now we deliberate. Ginny, we'll start at your end.
I'm happy they're preserving it. It's important, I mean, it's historic to the town. I personally thought that it could be a little closer to the parking lot. There's one really significant tree on that knoll, And I just thought that there's a nice bench there, and I just thought if they're moving it, move it a little closer to align with the one that's closer to the road. So that's why I asked the question, but I would not approve it.
You would approve it?
I would approve it, I would not approve it,
Oh,
yes.
got it. All right, double negative. Mr. Veach, what say you?
Well, I don't think, I think it meets all the criteria, and I don't think that moving it is substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. It is an improvement in terms of moving it further away from the resource area. And as far as its purpose, I suppose as long as these are there, that the ospreys could, and they do sometimes take advantage of that. So I think that's a good thing to have it still available for them as well. So, thanks.
Okay, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I don't find it will be substantially detrimental moving it that space. If it was up to me, we have 3. If we only had 2 left, then I don't know if anybody would notice, but
Oh, they would know.
that's all I have to say on it.
Mr. Nixon?
Well, I wish I know the cost because, as Ed just say, you know, we have a couple. Do we need the third one?
And Paul?
Well, I'm glad Frank Messina isn't here. My inclination would be to say, why are we doing this? This is crazy. I mean, it seems to me it's the location that is of significance, not so much the tower itself. And if you're moving it and you're still not complying with the bylaw, why not just get rid of it? As I say, I'm glad Frank is not here. My inclination would be to say comply with the setback requirement if you're going to move it.
Okay, what do you think, Lee?
Well, I think that I'm not really clear on the historical significance of the towers, but there must be something. And I'm okay with moving it. I mean, it's getting awfully close to the coastal bank, and it looks like there's probably a little erosion going on. But I kind of agree with Paul. I mean, if you're going to move it back so that it's complying. But I'm not voting today, so.
And Steve, before we get to you, Sarah has an explanation.
The historical significance of the tower is they were used for the station. There is a certain triangle that they need to maintain, and this is a National Register property, so the removal of it could affect the National Register designation of the site.
And Steve?
Well, I'm glad to see it's being preserved and maintained. And as far as the setbacks, I think this is probably further from the setback than some of the other applications we have today, so I'm not really too concerned about that. And I'm glad to see it's being preserved. Thank you.
And I'm just going to say I agree with Steve, because most of my reasoning would have been the same. Plus, if you had to take down any more trees, then that's never going to be a good thing for me. So,
Well, Sarah's explanation certainly
Yes.
makes clear to me, too, so on that basis, I will end up supporting it. But I'll move to approve the application as submitted.
Dave each seconds and votes yes.
I vote yes.
All vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
as do I, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You're 1-0 now, right? Yeah, all right, very good. All right. Moving on.
Application number 25-056, Mark D. Perlman Revocable Trust, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owner of property located at 42 Bayview Street, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10D, Block 72, Lot D45. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The proposed dwelling will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 1,160 square feet, 6.5%, and the proposed building coverage is 2,292 square feet, 12.9%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming and that it contains 17,821 square feet where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw. This was continued from August 14th, 2025.
Welcome, Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of Mark Perlman, who is in the rear, who is trustee of the trust that owns the house, but with his wife Pam, who is here electronically. They are realistically, or really, the applicants. We appreciate the board's indulgence in continuing this from last August. We came to understand after the plans were developed, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, that while what was originally proposed and filed with you was an attractive house, it perhaps was too large for the neighborhood. So we redesigned the house, and I'll give you more information about that, but I'll tell you briefly about the applicant. Mark started coming to the Cape some half a century ago, fell in love with Chatham as a place in which he could readily indulge his passion for fishing. They purchased this home approximately 4 years ago, but with 4 children and so far 1 grandchild, they realized that expanding the house might make sense, and putting on a second floor was their goal. They engaged Don Poyant and Eastwood Homes to look at it, and in turn worked with Karen Kempton, or the architect, in 4 different designs. And their engineers then advised that the existing old block foundation wouldn't readily support a second floor, and that even with that very significant additional cost, the house, renovating the house, wouldn't really address their needs. So Karen designed a home that we submitted to you, but in talking with their neighbors, Mark and Pam realized it wasn't appropriate for the site. So you graciously allowed us time to come up with a new plan, which is there on the board or on the screen, also designed by Karen Kempton. The house is dramatically reduced from what you first saw. It now has just over 2,000 square feet of living area, and even with the basement, a gross floor area of about 3,400 square feet, which is much more in keeping with the neighborhood. They talked with a number of their neighbors, and there seems to be universal support. The chair will later read some letters that I didn't write in regard to support for the house. And I think that neighborhood support is a reasonable indication, although you make the ultimate decision, that there is no substantial detriment, in fact, no detriment at all. I don't know that Karen is with us right now, so I'll go directly into you're nodding, yes, she is. Karen, if you are, would you like to speak to the house plans?
Sure, I can give you a brief history, which you've somewhat already gone over. Was hired in 2022 to add a second floor to the house, but we discovered that the foundation, like Bill said, was a block foundation and couldn't support a second floor. In addition, this 1970s house had a ceiling height on the first floor of 7 feet 1 inch, which does not meet today's code. So we were before you in August with a half cape design that, although the main portion of the house was a half cape, the additional massing of the house had a garage, a farmer's porch, and a first floor primary suite. So after hearing the concerns of the neighbors that the house was too large, it was 82 feet long on the street side, we made a more compact house like the one you see now. The street side length of this house is 50 feet, so a reduction of 32 linear feet. And that was achieved by removing the farmer's porch, the first floor primary suite, and making the garage somewhat smaller. So the proposed house is in the area of the existing house and is in similar footprint size. This plan gives the Perlmans a 2-car garage, which was lacking in the existing house, and the primary suite is located over the garage, eliminating the bonus room that we had proposed before. The second floor bedrooms are modest in size, 11 by 11 and 13 by 14. and the coverage has been reduced by over 600 square feet. The new proposed coverage is 1,551 square feet, of which 172 square feet are the front porch. We think the front porch is important for the streetscape to soften the look of the gambrel from the street. So we are calling out the maximum building height just as a precaution so that we don't have to come before you again. So in case there is a construction area, but the ridge height will be lower than what is allowed. Most of the second floor ceiling is under the pitched roof of the Greek Revival, and the first floor wall ceiling height is 8 feet 4 inches, where 9 feet 1 seems to be generally accepted these days. There is a small dormer on the right-hand side of the house, visible from the street, but other than that, the second floor is pretty much under the Greek Revival roof line. Most of the increase in the gross floor area is due to the modest two-car garage and the full foundation below the house, and that is counted towards gross floor area. But as I mentioned, the existing house does not have a garage and has crawl space below, which doesn't count towards the gross floor area, thereby making this one larger in gross floor area proportion. But we hope that you agree with the neighbors that this is an attractive addition to their neighborhood and is not substantially detrimental to this area. And I'll be here for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Karen. Madam Chairman, given that you have a lengthy agenda, I assume you'd like me to go directly to the criteria that apply.
Exactly.
As to the adequacy of the site, including building coverage and setbacks, we have a pre-zoning neighborhood. Subdivision was created in the 1924 plan, and nearly all the lots are non-conforming. Actually, we have 3 lots, 3 6,000 square foot lots. This was a much smaller subdivision. We are currently non-conforming as to lot size and also to an exterior mechanical appliance system on the sideline. If you approve the special permit, you can do so based on a finding that the site is adequate for the replacement dwelling. It's compliant as to street and sideline setbacks, height, and coverage as to compatibility of size. On the 3rd page of the handout, you can see the comparison. We have a relatively large lot with relatively low coverage, footprint of 1,160 square feet, 6.5%. It's the second smallest in the immediate neighborhood as to gross floor area and living area, as Karen and I have both indicated. It's been completely redesigned from what was before you in the past. The cover sheet that Sarah prepares showed an original gross floor area of 4,879 square feet. We're now down to 3,430, much more in keeping with the neighborhood. Proposed coverage is well below the maximum, even with the attractive porch and the garage. The size obviously increases because that's what the family needs, but the gross floor area and living area are consistent with, but still lower than some of their abutters, and the house remains compatible. Extent of increase in nonconformity, there is none. We meet all bulk and dimensional requirements. A second except clause or Bjorkland hearing is why we're here. As to suitability of the site, there are no wetlands or environmental issues involved. As to scale, siting, mass views, and vistas, what was there now was built 55 or 60 years ago. I think it was built by the father of the individual on Mill Hill Road who has had some cleanup in his neighborhood. So we're going to be doing some cleaning up in this neighborhood. Obviously, it's a different situation, but we think that the proposed house is an improvement. The existing house has no particular distinguishing architectural details. It's without impact on views and vistas. What Karen has designed and what Mark and Pam would like to build is cited to more than meet our current requirements. The traditional design with a shed dormer and garage wing, rather a shed dormer on the garage wing. It has neighborhood support and again was designed with deference to prior questions as well as the topography of the lot. It's completely compliant as to dimensional requirements, so no views or vistas. Residential use remains compatible as to adequacy of water and sewer. We currently have town water and a Title V for 2 bedrooms. The chair will read a letter from the health agent indicating that due to the pending sewer connection, we will be allowed to have a 3rd bedroom. So as you are aware, the question that you have to decide was whether the proposed change, which is compliant, again, to street and sideline setbacks, coverage and height, and eliminating our only dimensional nonconformity, whether that will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. As Karen and I have both said, Mark and Pam started this process 3 years ago this week, as a matter of fact, and in discussions with their neighbors, they decided that the prior submission was simply too much. It was compliant, but it wasn't ideal, so they worked extensively with Karen to design something that met their needs, but which is also in keeping with the scale of the neighborhood. They talked at length with their neighbors. They revised the design to develop plans which has support from the abutters. The abutter to the south is completely shielded by that large row of evergreens. He's in favor. The abutter to the north is in favor, and the abutter to the rear is in favor. It is, of course, a relatively isolated site on a dirt road, yet we're sited almost 40 feet back from the street. And again, the southerly side, the most, while compliant, is closest to the abutter, and that abutter has written in support. So in light of the criteria and the plans in this location, and that location is shown there, I think that you can find the proposed house that Karen has designed, which meets all current requirements of the bylaw and has neighborhood support, is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and we'd be pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Is there anybody here or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this project? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will read the correspondences. There are 4. First one, as usual, from our health agent, received on 11/4/2025. Our records indicate that this property is currently approved as a 2-bedroom dwelling. The proposal is to reconstruct to a 3 with a connection to municipal sewer. Please note, the property was ordered to connect to town sewer in January 2023. The proposed 3-bedroom design is acceptable with the condition that the sewer connection is completed as part of the project. Next, we have a note from Christine Steiner of 42 where is she? 52 Bayview Road. I'm writing in favor of the proposed work to be done on the property adjacent to mine at 42. I have reviewed the plans and intentions with the owner, Mark Perlman, and I have no concerns regarding the scope of work, and I feel it will not have any negative impact on my property or to the street in general. That was received on October 27th, 2025. Also received that same date, Peter Fraser, 45 Vineyard Ave, tells us he's writing in support of the application. The revised request is being heard November 6th, 2025. Mr. Perlman has graciously showed and met with us regarding the site plan, which I feel as an abutter located at 45 is an appropriate size and architecturally fit for our neighborhood. Next, John and Margaret Lorden, write on October 14th, 2025. They're the owners of 63 Vineyard Ave, are writing in support of the project. They've been impressed with the level of concerns the Perlmans have demonstrated in making sure the abutters and the neighbors have been fully informed during this process. They reviewed the plans, and the Perlmans have answered questions. They've had several conversations, and they understand that the owner wants to build a house that meets the needs of his family and fits with the neighborhood, so thus they are confident that the proposed plan meets his goals and will be an asset to the neighborhoods. They're good neighbors, and we ask that you permit this. That concludes our correspondences. Is there anybody here with a question or wants to speak against? Or online? Nope. Nobody? Very good. No rebuttal needed, I take it. And now we'll do questions from the board. Steve?
I have just 2 very minor questions. On the, I guess it would be the right side of the house, is that a retaining wall or something that goes off from the side of the house?
There's I believe, Karen can correct me, but I believe there's a partial walkout basement on that side.
Yeah, and it seems to be a wall, maybe a rock wall or a stone.
Yeah, there
wall
is
that
a
comes out
wall
from
for
the side of the house. Do you know what the-
topographical reasons.
What the height of that might be?
Less than 3 feet, but I can't tell you. Karen, do you know the height of that wall?
At the front of the house, the front corner, that one, yeah.
Yeah, the other one's labeled, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, you might want to just get that documented. That's all. Other than that, I don't have any other questions, thank you.
David Veach, questions?
Yeah, I had a few, and I'm just, it's a great-looking house. I think it's an improvement over what you brought in the last time. But I started looking at this, and I just had some questions that maybe Karen could answer, or I don't see that Dave Clark is here. But one of the things that I noticed, and I certainly trust with Karen, and indicated they're hitting the max the height at 30 feet, and will be able to come in under that. But one of the things that I noticed was that the proposal is to raise the first floor of the house by 1.5 feet. And when I went out there and looked around and looked at the grade and everything, I didn't really understand the reasoning for that. And I don't know if Karen might be able to offer why that would be, because we have some subsequent filling taking place and all. I'm just wondering why, the reason for that. The second part of that question was I noticed that there's 10 feet between the basement slab and the first floor, and an 8-foot, 10-inch pour for the basement, which is a little unusual in a way, especially considering that I understand it's a walkout basement, but it doesn't look like they're using it for storage or I'm curious. It's not a serious zoning issue, but I'm curious about how the house got set higher on the property.
Karen, can you respond to Mr. Veach?
I believe it was done so that there would be able to have walkout on the north side as the lot does slope down in that direction. We do have a 9-foot pour, so that in the future they are able to finish that space if they wanted to. Keep in mind with the ductwork and steel beams, there might be a reduction in the ceiling height, down to 8 feet. So generally what we've been doing these days are 8-foot 10 pours with 9-foot forms.
We recognize that even if it ever became finished, it could not be a bedroom because our limit is 3.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious about that. And then the only other thing that I thought of was perhaps they were elevating it to make sure that there was a pitch from the driveway to the road, which is another reason I suppose could be applied. Nope, I have no other questions, thanks.
Ed, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Nixon?
I have no questions.
All right, Paul?
I have no questions.
Lee?
No questions.
And Ginny, did I ask you yet?
You didn't ask me, but I have
Okay.
no questions.
All right, very good. Then Paul?
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Okay, deliberations. Lee?
Well, I think this looks very nice. I think it fits into the neighborhood much better. I think it meets our criteria. As always, the designs by Karen Kempton are very attractive. So I am not voting, but I would absolutely support this.
Okay, Steve?
I feel the same. I think it'll fit in that neighborhood very nicely. The neighbors seem to think so also. And I think it's a good project.
All right, and Mr. Veach?
I agree with all previous. It's a nice-looking house, and certainly not substantially more detrimental.
Ed?
I agree.
And Mr. Nixon?
This is such an improvement over the initial. It is really, everybody did a wonderful job, and thank you.
Yeah, and Ginny?
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to point out, the redesign, I think, is very impressive. Mr. Litchfield, you covered it well. The reduction of the building coverage, it was 98, it was an increase of 98%, and now it's an increase of 44, which is really, it's only a total of 518 square feet. That's a substantial reduction, so I agree that the feedback was responsive. Also, 38% reduction in gross floor area. It is taller, but it's the Greek Revival, which is very attractive. The previous design was attractive, but as Karen mentioned, it was 82 feet long. It just was very massive looking on that, the original plan. Now it's been reduced to 55 feet, as Karen mentioned. So I wanted to go through those because they are really substantial improvements to it. And so now we have a very impressive redesign, and it is, I love the porch, not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
And Paul?
Yes, this is clearly a much better proposal. They really responded well.
Yep, and at the end of the day, what we're really looking at is what's there now compared to this. I can't help but say that. I'm just one of those people. So, yes, it is an improvement indeed. So, Paul?
I'll move to approve the application as submitted. I guess that I would suggest that we need our normal construction conditions. Does that make sense, Mr. Litchfield?
We would not be surprised by that to be
Okay,
the case.
I'll move to approve the application as submitted with all construction activity and vehicles shall be contained on site or at a neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. That between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed. No work shall be permitted on the weekends, and construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Nixon?
Yes.
Paul votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you. Thank you for coming. Let's see where we're going now. We're going to 170 Vineyard.
Application number 25-091, David Briggs, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 170 Vineyard Avenue, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10D, Block 4, Lot D 114. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling on a nonconforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The existing dwelling is nonconforming in that it is located 13.9 feet from the westerly abutter and entirely within the Coastal Conservancy District, floodplain elevation 11. The proposed dwelling will be nonconforming in that it will be located within the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. Also proposed is the reconfiguration of an existing driveway and installation of exterior mechanical system appliances, generator, and AC condensers. The proposed generator will be located within the Coastal Conservancy District, and the proposed AC condensers will be located 2.4 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,276 square feet, 68%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,718 square feet, 91%, where 15% but not more than 2,800 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 1,877 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D2B of the Protective Bylaw.
Welcome back, Council.
Thank you. Jamie Norcross on behalf of David Briggs. With me this afternoon, participating remotely, is Gordon Clark, the architect for the project, and Kieran Healy from the BSC Group, who is the engineer. We were here, hard to believe, last December, end of last year, with a different proposal that was not viewed very favorably. And so Gordon and Mr. Briggs met to look at some revisions, significant revisions to the plans, we think, in terms of the design and the overall project. I'm going to ask Gordon in a moment to run through the design changes so you can understand the new plans or have a better understanding of the plans before you and the changes that he made. But I did want to highlight a couple aspects of the new application. The building coverage numbers that you heard Sarah read are I don't want to say deceiving, but it's confusing because we only have 1,800 square feet of buildable upland, so that's why our numbers for building coverage look so high. The size of our lot is 15,000 square feet. So using that as a metric, the existing building coverage based on the size of the lot is 8.5%, we are proposing an increase to an 11.5%. So it's about a 440 square foot increase in the footprint of the existing house. About half of that is a result of the porch on the front of the house facing Vineyard Ave that now has a roof over it, which is part of what Gordon's going to talk about. So that counts toward the building coverage. And so that is the half of the increase in the 440 number for the overall footprint for the project. We have reduced the gross floor area by 464 square feet, which is about a 10% reduction from the prior application. If you include the basement, the gross floor area is 4,200 square feet. If you exclude the basement, it's just shy of 2,800 square feet. Unlike other cases where you look at the basement for gross floor area as a space that could be finished in the future, in this particular case, that space can never be finished because it's in the floodplain. So it's going to be an unfinished basement forever. You could use it for storage at your own risk in terms of potential flooding, but it can never be finished. It can never be used as living area. So we can include it, but it's not space that can be used by the applicant or the homeowner in the future for actual living area. Another aspect I did want to touch on is the height. This is a reduction of about half a foot from the prior design. The ceiling heights, we have 8 feet on the first floor, 7 feet 6 inches on the second floor, so I don't think the ceiling heights are anything extravagant from what we see nowadays. I'd also note that if we're measuring, because we're in the floodplain, we have to measure from lowest adjacent grade in order to determine our building height. So that's the 28.67 is our building height. If you measure from average grade, which is 90% plus of the projects that are before you, our building height is 26.37 feet. So again, I think the lowest adjacent grade calculation can make it seem like it's a taller structure than it actually is compared to what you normally see in looking at apples to apples comparison. Lastly, I'd mention that the structure does meet all dimensional setbacks other than the Conservancy District. It's impossible for us to meet the setback to the Conservancy District because just about all the properties in the floodplain, but we meet the road setback and we meet the abutter setbacks. And in fact, for the setbacks on the north and south, we're well outside those setback lines of 15 feet. And we are removing the one existing nonconformity to the west lot line as part of this project. So with that, I'd ask Gordon to run through the design, please.
Can you hear me now?
Maybe a little louder, Gordon.
Yeah, okay. What we're looking at here is the rendering that we did of the proposed house. We made some major design changes to the house. We changed the roof line from a gambrel roof to a gable standard Cape style with dormers on the front and rear. We reduced the size of the dormer on the garage side. We also reduced the width as seen from the street from 24 feet to 22 feet. I mean, from 24 to 22. The width of the garage went from 26 to 24. We reduced the size of the garage door opening to a single garage door, 16-foot garage door. Other changes, there was pushback on the fact that we had a balcony that went across the porch. It was actually an entire roof deck up on the second floor. We removed that. We reduced it to a very small little balcony in the front. There's a hip roof over the porch. We also reduced the height of the porch from the grade to further reduce the mass of the house. We were allowed to do a little bit of filling in there to allow us to reduce that height difference. So that kind of brings the house down and nestles it to the ground better. We feel that this house is really in keeping with the neighborhood. It is a Cape style house. We have just a single bay window in the front there over the garage area. We reduced a large 4-window area and a triple window over that, which was before. So I think the overall massing of the house is much less visually than what it was before, and the rendering, I think, demonstrates that. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Gordon, I think it'd be helpful if you could just explain the change, looking at the elevation facing the garage door, just to show that, in terms of the dormer on the second story.
Well, the dormer on the second story was much wider before. We reduced the width of that, so that steps in quite a bit more now, and we stepped it back from the outside to, make the mass of the dormer much smaller. And you can see the single garage door with a little lid over it. There's a little decorative landscape wall there, and that's essentially the changes to that side.
Thank you, Gordon. So I'll just touch on the relevant criteria before moving along. Number one, adequacy of the size of the site. We believe the size of the site is adequate for this proposal. As I mentioned, we're going to meet all dimensional setbacks in terms of a butter and street setback. Our setback is listed at 26 feet to Vineyard Ave. I did want to point out that's measured to the stairs coming off the porch that you see. The setback to the porch itself is about 30 feet, and the setback to the house beyond the porch is 38 feet. So just to demonstrate, the house will be set back quite a distance from the street, where our required setback is 25 feet. And then, as I mentioned, our building coverage is non-conforming due to the fact that we're located within the floodplain. If this was a 15,000 square foot lot outside the floodplain, we could have a building coverage as high as 15%, and we're only proposing an 11.5% for building coverage. Number two, compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. Suggests the home is comparable and compatible in terms of size with neighboring properties. Many of the homes along Vineyard Ave and the surrounding areas were originally built in the 1950s, but a number of them have been renovated or rebuilt in the last 20 years. I included gross floor area analysis at the end, and I think you'll see that our numbers are not out of line with neighboring properties in terms of gross floor area size. I'd also mention, as I did before, that we did reduce from the prior application by 10% for our gross floor area number. If you were out there recently, you saw they are doing construction on the home across the street at 169 Vineyard Avenue. I did look that up, and that was approved by the zoning board, I think it was June or July of 2024, and that has, in terms of comparison for size, that was approved for a footprint of 2,200 square feet, and according to their numbers, the gross floor area was just over 5,300 square feet of gross floor area. So for a comparison right across the street in terms of size, that would be one example. Extent of the proposed increase in nonconforming nature of the structure or use. Again, we are increasing the building coverage that is nonconforming, but we are maintaining all other dimensional requirements, and we are removing the existing lot line nonconformity to the west lot line. Number five, suitability of the site, including but limited to impact on neighboring properties and natural environment. We believe the site is suitable. Conservation, if we ever get there, has been continuing for quite a while and are ready to issue an order of conditions to allow the project to move forward. Number five, impact of scale, siding, and mass. I'd suggest there's no negative impact on neighborhood visual character. I think the proposed design of a traditional cape is significantly improved from what you saw last time. It's able to mitigate the additional height and mass through the use of dormers on the second floor, and the fact that the house will meet all dimensional setbacks. I think the porch is a nice element because it helps to break up the massing of the structure that you see from the street there. I think Gordon's design, where you have a break between the house and the garage with that area setback, is also a nice feature. And again, the dormers on the second story, as opposed to the gambrel feature before, reduces any issues or alleviates concerns relative to massing. Skipping ahead to number seven, we are going to be connecting to town sewer. This is in the floodplain, so I will touch on number 12 and 13. Number 12. The extent of the lateral expansion proposed, we are proposing a lateral expansion of 442 square feet for the footprint. This expansion is largely a result of being unable to use the basement area for any living area or the placement of mechanicals. B, under number 12, is the extent to which lateral expansion impacts the impervious area of the site. We think the lateral expansion will have a negligible impact on the impervious area of the site. Other improvements, including the reduction of the existing gravel driveway and the use of a flood-compliant foundation, offset this increase, and I would suggest result in a net benefit. So just to sum up, again, it's different. It's bigger than what's there now. I think the numbers are a little confusing when you see them written out in terms of what we're actually proposing, but we have something that complies with the requirements of the bylaw. and we do not think is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And so be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is everybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this project? If so, make it known. Seeing none, I will read the correspondences. There are 4 and from neighbors and 2 from staff. Judith Giorgio tells us on 11/4/2025, as the health agent, her records indicate the property is currently approved as a 3-bedroom dwelling. The proposal is construct a 4 and with a connection to municipal sewer. Please note this property was already ordered to connect in 2023. The proposed 4-bedroom design is acceptable with the condition the sewer connection is completed as part of the construction project. We have a letter from the Conservation Commission from October 16th, 2025, and they are going to meet again, and it will be conditioned to meet the performance standards when they meet again. Next, we have a note from James and Janet Heatley, and they live on 172 Meadowview Road in Chatham, received November 3, 2025. We are the original owners of 172 Meadowview Road, Chatham, for over 56 years. We're writing in response to the plan being presented for 170 Vineyard Ave. After receiving the specs and discussing with neighbors, there are numerous issues with Mr. Briggs' proposal. Number 1, that it's 15,000 square feet in a zone that requires 20. Number 2, it's in the Coastal Conservancy District, which requires a 50-foot setback for the generator, the house, and the HC units. The building setbacks are roughly half of what's required, as the outdoor utility units are either in the Conservancy District or less than 3 feet away. Number 3, the site has 877 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 is required. We are very concerned about the precedent it would set by allowing a structure with so many non-conforming issues to be permitted. Since we built in 1968, the preservation of our wetlands has been a top priority to the Conservation Commission. By denying a couple of our own requests for significantly less violations, removing a native scrub bush near our pond, we would hope you are continuing to make this a top priority for our community. In stating the above referenced concerns, the goal here should be to uphold the standards set forth by our town's zoning board and Conservation Commission for the security of the environment, as well as the protection and consideration of surrounding neighbors. There is a shared integrity to maintain our environment, our homes, our charming streets, so we request the zoning board to turn down the application. It would be prudent that Mr. Briggs submit another proposal to satisfy the codes and the neighbors. Next, we have a note from Larry Palmerton from November 3, 2025. The letter is response to the revised proposal for 170 Vineyard. The new architectural design still portrays an effort by the developer to maximize the size and subsequent profitability by proposing a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot in a floodplain at the expense of neighbors, zoning board standards, and the environment. The inappropriate size of the house is demonstrated by its 91% coverage of buildable upland area. The size of the building is also 51% larger than the existing structure. A large deck in the rear will bring the living space to 15 foot 3 inches of lot line on this non-conforming lot. It is further questionable why a 5-bedroom, 4.5-bath structure would be proposed with the adverse metric mentioned above, unless there is substantial disregard for the neighborhood and community, as is further demonstrated by the developer's absenteeism and minimal maintenance. As an abutter, the ZBA is encouraged to decline the application. If a follow-up proposal is permitted, it should reflect an earnest attempt to conform to the norms and standards in Chatham. Next, we have a note from Tom Beneville, 150 Meadowview Road in Chatham, and this is received on November 1, 2025. I am in receipt of your letter from October 16, 2025 concerning the application of Mr. Briggs for a special permit. I have reviewed the material provided online. Once again, like last December, I must express my strong objection to the project as it's currently conceived. The site is non-conforming for multiple reasons, and then he lists those. Despite being hugely non-conforming in these multiple ways, the applicant is proposing a house where the gross floor area, less the basement, is 51% larger than the existing house. The gross floor area with basement is 41% larger than the existing house, and the total building coverage is 35% more than the existing house. From every angle, the massing of the house is simply too big for the lot and not in keeping with the character of Vineyard Avenue. I urge the zoning board to invite the applicant back to the drawing board in order to submit a more tasteful plan in keeping with this beautiful street. Next, we have a letter from Allison Carr, received on October 30th, 2025. This letter is to oppose the grant of a special permit for David Briggs for the property at 170 Vineyard Ave. I am a neighbor living at 116 Vineyard Ave and object to the size and mass of the current proposal. While the new proposal for this property has shown a roughly 10% reduction in floor space compared to the last one, he's still asking to build an enormous house. With 5 bedrooms, 4.5 large bathrooms, this house dwarfs other homes on the street. It's out of scale for Vineyard Ave. The front elevation of the new proposal is more consistent with a street full of Cape Cod houses, and I appreciate that improvement. However, adjusting the gable does not solve the problems of overall mass. Neither does it solve the problem of lot coverage moving from 68% of buildable upland to 91% is aggressive. Mr. Briggs is an investor, not a potential resident. He gets some credit for mowing the lawn in the summer twice. However, the designs he has submitted have shown great insensitivity to the street, neighborhood, and town. I oppose granting him a special permit for a non-conforming dwelling in order to allow him to maximize his investment. The town does not owe him that favor. Is there anyone here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak against the project or has a question? Yes, go ahead, sir.
For the record, Brian Phillips, 372 Orleans Road. It was actually a really nice-looking house, but I think the letters covered it. Building in a flood zone is bad. It seems like it's a substantial increase to what was there. Doesn't allow, it can compromise our entire coastline if you keep on allowing, an increase in impermeable surfaces on these projects in flood zones to mitigate the flood waters if there is a flood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to speak against or has a question? Yes, sir, please go up to the mic. No, you cannot do quick questions. You have to go up to the mic. Maybe you weren't here at the beginning when I barked out that order.
Yes, Larry Palmerton. I submitted a letter earlier, and I'm just questioning why there's a difference in some people quoting 4 bedrooms versus 5 bedrooms. I believe your first letter from the health department said 4 bedrooms.
I'm going to let Sarah explain that.
Yes, so the health agent, we noticed yesterday that her letter said 4 bedrooms. She's at a conference, so we couldn't get an updated letter from her to reflect what's shown on the floor plans. It will have to comply with Board of Health regulations, no matter what.
And that might change her letter then,
It's possible,
her
yes.
opinion. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else has a question or wishes to speak against? Now is the time. You know what to do. No? Okay, Mr. Norcross, please rebut.
Sure. Again, we do appreciate the concerns. I think some of the numbers, I question a little bit of the accuracy. We meet the sideline setbacks, we meet the street setbacks, we're under the height requirement. I understand we're over building coverage, but it's impossible for anybody on this property to meet the building coverage when we only have 1,800 square feet. So you need to look at the overall lot size, which is 15,000 square feet. And our proposed building coverage is 11.5%. And 1,700 square feet is not an overly large home at all. The gross floor area numbers is very consistent with the neighborhoods. It's consistent, in fact, well below a project that was approved a year and a half ago. For this street, which I don't know why that didn't seem to have the same objection, but notwithstanding. The design, I think it is, I understood the concerns with the last design. I think this is a much more traditional design. Gordon submitted some photographs of neighboring properties in the area along with our application that we submitted, and I think you see it's, all kinds of different styles and designs, and I don't think what we propose is out of character with what you see in those photographs and when you drive around the neighborhood. So with that, we would be happy to answer any questions.
Yep, thank you. Okay, questions from the board? Mr. Veach?
Yes, I have a few, I think. What is the lowest adjacent grade? I kind of looked over the site plan and I didn't see that information anywhere.
Kieran, could you address Mr. Veach's question, please?
Correct, yeah. The lowest adjacent grade is at the garage drive on the slab, which is elevation 7.5.
So 7.5 is the lowest adjacent grade, okay. And so then to translate for me the proposed ridge elevation?
I have it written on the top left of the site plan. We got building heights above the average existing grade, and I got building height above the lowest adjacent grade. The building height above the lowest adjacent grade is 28.67, or 28 feet, 8 inches.
I see that on the drawing. I'm trying to trace, so what I do see on your site plan is the existing, what I'm trying to do is compare to the existing building. So I see on the site plan, it's faded somewhat, but readable, that we have a number for the peak elevation of 31.9, which is an elevation number. I'm looking for the elevation number for the proposed ridge for the new building. So I guess that's, if I were doing math, which I'm not inclined to do right now, that would be adding 20, if the information you have is correct, 28.67 being the 28 feet 8 inches you've shown, and plus the 7.5. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be the elevation above sea level.
Right. That's what I'm looking for. So that would be, so then how?
Kieran, could you give us that total so we have the number?
Yeah, so then, right now, the elevation is 31.9, the existing ridge. Right. So now we're getting to, what, 35, elevation 30, what?
I'm going to go to our building commissioner.
Yeah, Jay, thanks.
I did the math for you, Dave.
Thanks.
It appears to be 36.17.
So 36.17. So about 6 feet higher, plus or minus.
4 feet, right? 4 feet higher.
4 feet higher? Okay. That's what I was trying to get at. I couldn't,
Yeah, no, I
but
understand, yeah.
the numbers here, numbers there, I couldn't put it all together. With respect to the building design, I think this is an improvement, definitely, but I'm a little concerned still by the proposed roof pitches on the dormers. The plan shows roof pitches of 2 and 5/16 inches and 12, which is a relatively shallow pitch. Actually, Jay, maybe you can answer this. Can architectural asphalt shingles be used on a pitch that shallow?
I think they would need ice and water underneath it. I think they'd need some sort of membrane structure under a 3 pitch.
Okay, yeah.
We would plan to do that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just kind of, I'm curious about the choice here. I applaud what you've done by pulling in the dormer cheek walls on the garage, but I noticed that we haven't done that on the main roof. And so my question would be, how wide a portion of roof are you showing on either side of the dormers on the main building?
If you hold on 1 second, I can give you that number.
Okay.
Two foot 4 inches.
2 feet, 4 inches?
That's correct.
No,
The
on the
step- it's
garage, no, on the main building I'm asking about.
Oh, on the main building,
Yes.
10.5 inches.
10.5 inches. Okay. I too wondered about the 5-bedroom versus 4-bedroom thing, but we'll get there, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I would have for questions. I may have some comments about it, but I don't think so. Thanks.
Okay. Ed, questions?
Yeah, two questions. Gross floor area, I guess is for Jay or for Sarah. Why, if the basement's, it can't be habitable space or isn't habitable space because it's a floodplain, why is it included? Because we wouldn't include a crawl space or,
I mean, the only thing gross floor area pertains to is the applications before the ZBA.
yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to be finished.
Wouldn't be able to
And if it were a
finish-
crawl space, we wouldn't include it on a normal application that was outside of the floodplain.
And would we be included if it was just crawl space? Would it be included as gross floor area?
No, it would not.
So just the fact that the height is making us, at this point, included as gross floor area?
Probably, likely, yes.
Well, I can answer that. I included those numbers, just trying to be, for the sake of clarity, so you're trying to look at apples to
Yeah.
apples, but I don't think, that's just what we included on the application. It wasn't at the request of the building department or anything.
Okay. It just seems to
That,
be,
that area cannot be used either. It cannot be used. There's no utilities in that space at all. There is a utility room on the first floor. So none of that space is occupied by, it cannot be occupied. I think Jamie indicated before, you could store things in it at your own risk, but it is in the floodplain.
and I guess my second question is,
We did, yeah.
I thought I heard Mr. Clark say that there was going to be some regrading on the property, which, if this is floodplain, I don't believe we allow any regrading.
That
I
portion,
checked with the building inspector, and he said we were allowed to.
that portion of
and-
the lot is outside the floodplain.
Oh, okay.
It caught my
It's outs-
attention, too. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
So we just did that, we added that fill in there just to reduce the visual massing from the street of the porch. And I think it works well. It drops that height difference between the top of the porch and the grade at the street, on the street side.
So to be clear, the part with the fill is not in the floodplain?
Correct.
Okay. All right, translation. All right, Mr. Nixon. Questions?
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Ms. Paul Semple, any questions?
I have no questions.
Lee?
No questions.
Steve?
The landscape that you're proposing there in the corner, I guess that would be the northwest corner, is that something that you are proposing or something that the CONSCOM is requesting?
Probably a combination of both. It was mitigation for the project.
For being in, for the project itself? And is there anything else along the rear of the property, that adjoins to the Oyster River Hills Association? Is there anything else there, or that's just lawn?
Kieran, is there anything, any other plantings proposed than what's shown on the site plan?
There are no plantings that were required by the Conservation Commission. There may be some plantings done by the owner, but it wasn't a requirement of the Conservation Commission.
Okay. There is pretty extensive vegetation along the back currently. I would note the shed is, belongs to the Briggs property, but it's on the association property, so that has to get
Yeah.
demolished.
And they're asking you to remove that, right? Okay. Other than that, I'm glad to see that you're retaining, I guess, the gravel driveway for,
Yes.
to keep.
Changing the
as-
size of
as
it, but-
permeable as possible and along in the front there also. Okay, thank you.
And Jenny Fenwick.
So Jamie, the shed's going away, not being relocated. I didn't see it anywhere on there. Is that right?
It doesn't look like it's in any condition to,
Or, I mean, like another shed being.
oh, Gordon, is there any shed proposed?
There is no shed proposed. That shed is in deplorable condition and
Yeah.
it will be removed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember, I do remember seeing that. So while we're on this page, I just wanted to confirm that the proposed roof deck, do you see the roof deck proposed, which is off to the front of the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I want to go back to the other one.
Oh.
Sorry, the.
Site plan?
the Site plan, yeah.
Gordon's volume's too loud. Can we change it? Leave it?
I just want to make sure, so the house, the outline of the house is in the double line.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you can see the outline of the current house in sort of a very faded, but the hashed lines, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you see the proposed roof deck is a single line.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that that is included in the coverage number, and it's not just the outline of what's in the double line.
Yes, that is included in our,
Okay.
and that's part of that. It counts for half of our increase from the
Okay.
current coverage.
That's about
Because-
240 square feet.
Okay, all right, I think you did say that. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't, know why that wouldn't have been also a double line, I guess, visually. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I too had a question about the roof pitches. Thank you for clarifying that, the impact of that, the flatness of the dormers, and also the actual, the roof, the top, of the main house, that roof line is very short because of it's short, and it's also, it appears flat in the, I didn't do the calculations that Mr. Veach did, but that appears flat as well. Maybe not as flat as the dormer pitch, roof pitch?
The dormer facing Vineyard Ave
Right,
is not as steep, it sounds like, as some folks would like to see on that, but yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's,
And the reason for that was we needed, it could be dropped a little bit, but we needed clearance for those doors that open out onto the
on
balcony.
the second story, yeah.
Yeah, the current house right now has a ceiling height, which is not within code, no, 6 foot 11 and a half inches. And the first floor, I think, is only 7 foot 4. The finished ceiling heights in this house would be like 6'10" on the first floor when you add strapping and the sheet rock. And second floor is going to be around 7'6". So these are not unusually high ceilings. They're certainly within standard practice for a cape. So we were just trying to get something that's within code. And that's why those, in keeping this, the height of the building down because of our limitations,
Yeah.
where we could not average the grade. That's why those dormers are a little flatter. They could be reduced a little, we could reduce that slightly. If that's a real issue. I mean, we could increase the pitch.
Okay, so can I just repeat that? The first floor height, ceiling height is 6'10"?
No, I think he meant 7'10" finished.
Okay.
It's 8
Yeah,
feet.
the sixth floor, yeah, it's 7'10", approximately finished height, 7'10" and a half. The second floor is around 7'6", 7'6" and a half.
Okay.
That's the finished ceiling height.
Okay, maybe I misheard you. I thought you said 6'10". Okay, thank you for.
Yeah, 6'10" was what, I mentioned that was the existing house. And that's one reason why you can't even look out the windows without almost being on your knees.
Yes.
It's really, so the comparison between one house and the other, that is really a short house. As far as height.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Mr. Beach, please.
Yeah, so just to follow up on that, because I did realize that I had a further question in the same regard of Ginny's. So I wanted to ask, given the extremely shallow pitch on the dormers as presented here, and given that you've also reduced the height of the house somewhat, there is still room to raise the main ridge. And given that you've got room for headers and things there along that front wall, over those doors and windows, I would think, and as he indicated, there is room to, so I'm just curious, how you came to the decision with all of those variables to come up with the roof pitch that you're showing.
Well, because of the headers we didn't want to be right up against the 30-foot limit.
Well,
So that's one reason.
You've got you are, so what was the elevation of current ridge?
It's 28.8.
Well, we've got to add, now let's go to elevation here.
It's 36.
So and you have up to, if the lowest Jason's grade is 7.5, you have to 37.5 before you exceed what's allowed in our bylaw. So I'm just looking at all that information and saying, I would think that there's some room to, I'm trying to get you to a better looking building, honestly, in my judgment. We don't all have to agree on that. That was my question.
Can I just clarify, a better-looking building or one with more ceiling height?
A better looking building. I mean, there's room, well, we can get into.
Okay.
Yeah. If that's the wish of the board, we certainly can drop the plate height on that and get a steeper roof pitch. That's not very difficult to do. We can push the headers up into the rafters, into the rafter framing. So we can drop that down considerably.
We haven't gotten that far yet, so hold on. Ed, did you want to help?
Yeah, I think what Dave is getting at is, and I'm not sure that this rendering is all that accurate, because the pitches I'm looking at, especially on the garage, are much steeper than a 2.5-inch pitch that's represented on the actually building plans. But these dormers are very flat, which is, not historically appropriate, I guess, or.
That's helpful, yeah. I was just trying to figure out, because I didn't think the ceilings looked that extravagant.
No.
At all?
No,
So I thought you were trying to help with that.
No, the ceilings are not extravagant. They're reasonable.
Yeah.
They are reasonable. They don't really need to drop their ceilings. And I'm trying to say, they have other places and ways to gain room to have more of a pitch on the dormers.
Okay,
And at the same time, I get, well, no, I'm not.
yeah. Okay, good enough. So I have a different kind of question. How come you can't give us a site plan that has the dotted lines to show the difference between what's there now and proposed? Are we just spoiled that we got that?
It's just very faint. You're talking
Yeah.
setbacks?
It's not obvious to me because it's not red, maybe?
Yeah, so you can see there are numbers and lines, like if you look at the setback from the corner to Vineyard Ave, you can see a 31.9.
Yeah,
Very
it's not
light.
really like the kind maybe I've.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the future, it's nice when makes it obvious.
Sure. I appreciate
Idiot-proof for me, anyway. Yeah. Okay, all right, good enough. If no one has any more questions, we'll go into deliberations. Paul?
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Okay, deliberations. Let's see, Steve? I know you always love
Well, I think this is a much better looking project than the last time. I guess I would have liked to have seen, you had a lot of comparisons here of the surrounding areas, but maybe a comparison of the ridge height of the other houses would have been helpful.
Yeah.
But I think it's a much better project than there was before. I'm a little concerned, I don't know how we handle do we have to wait to hear from the health department? Or do you,
You don't, because they won't be able to get a building permit unless she's happy.
unless she's happy? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see, you're keeping this as permeable as possible. I think as Dave was saying, you could maybe go up another 6 or 8 inches or even a foot higher than it is now to achieve a steeper pitch on the dormer, so it's not so flat. I think I'm fine with it, the way it is. Better than before.
Okay, Mr. Veach, why don't you go ahead?
Well, that's, I mean, it's definitely a vast improvement over what they presented the last time. In terms of the questioning about the pitch of the dormers, I think it would look much, much better if they can get those to at least over a 3 to a 4 pitch or so. It would be much nicer. I also think that, we've seen this from time to time, especially on somewhat smaller buildings, where they line the second floor walls line up with the first floor walls, but you have the look of a dormer because you've got the rakes and things on the sidewalls. But 10.5 inches is getting close to beginning to look like it's tacked on there to disguise a two-story building. I mean, I would, but when it comes to, and they do have room to increase the height of the main ridge. I mean, I think that the choice to present it to us as being shorter than the previous is certainly worthy, but in this case, I'm not sure that they really covered all their bases. I think it'd be better. So I'm on the fence because when it comes to these architectural issues, I think it would be look better if they had at least a foot of roof showing on either side of that front dormer on the second story there. And I think it would be better if they got the roof pitches down. I think it would be a much better looking building. I'm wrestling with the question of, is that substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood?
Well, we'll let you think about it for a moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Nixon, what do you think?
Well, I don't like it. I don't like it to begin with, and Jamie, just so you know, the house across the street, there was one no vote on that, as Mr. Singer be happy to tell you, or unhappy to tell you, it was me.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you did see it, okay, so I'm going to be consistent here, and granted, I was the only no vote, there was nobody else. So I am going back to what's existing and what you're proposing here, not comparing it with what you had to begin with, because this is going up, like the footprint's going up 50%. The mass of the structure is still out of whack, particularly with all the restrictions on this lot. It just is too much. The mass thing is too much. The neighbors had some great points. So I would consistently vote no.
Ginny?
Yeah, I appreciate the redesign. I think it is better losing the gambrel from last time. You'll remember mass was an issue last time, so this is an improvement, but the boxiness of the dormers and the flatness of the main roof, it does go back to that massing. I do like that part of the house is the recessed, that's helpful. But, I mean, just looking at this, this rendering, this is more attractive, but it's very boxy. So I agree with Mr. Nixon. This is a large house on 1,850 square feet. And 442 square feet is the increase in building coverage that you're asking for. That's an increase of 35%. And you only have 1,800 square feet. It's too much. So I think that, I know the current house was also in the floodplain, but this house remains in a floodplain, and you're increasing it, in my opinion, too much. So I am struggling with criteria 1, which is adequacy of the site given the building coverage, and 12, the lateral expansion in a floodplain. It's 100% in the floodplain. The current house was too, but this is, and you're proposing to increase it. So I am not comfortable with the increases, but the design is better.
Paul?
Well, I agree that the design is better, but I'm somewhat on the same page as Mr. Nixon and Jenny, that this is still substantially more than the lot should be handling. I look at criteria 12, which proposes a lateral expansion of 442 square feet in the floodplain. And I look back at when this criteria was adopted, and it basically revolved around the fact that as these houses were being elevated in the floodplain, they needed the ability to expand their footprint slightly in order to have access and egress for stairs and things like that, because they started with a proposal that you couldn't have any expansion in the floodplain. So to go to 442 square feet, it seems to me is excessive. And the reason why this was left to the zoning board was in part because the zoning board could exercise some discretion over what made sense, as opposed to saying you could only do 20 feet or 50 feet square foot expansion. So I think we need to exercise that discretion in terms of what makes sense here, and I think this is too much, and I agree with the concepts. And I think the colored depiction shows a pitch on these dormers on the garage, which is substantially more than is actually being proposed. So I combined all those, I would be inclined to vote no.
And Lee?
Well, I think that I agree with Mr. Veach and his suggestion that the pitch of the dormer on the house be steepened, I guess is the right word, and the dormer be narrowed, I guess, a little bit, to have a little bit more of an increase on the roof, the side portion of the roof.
Just see. Oh.
I'm also going to talk, and I do like the new design. I think it is helpful, for sure. But I wanted to talk about the different porches, because I think that adds to the mass as well, and kind of the overwhelming kind of busyness of the house. I love a front porch. I think a front porch is great. I think the front porch alone would be a really nice addition. The extra stair railing on the ground level adds too much. And I think that the upper deck on the front of the house adds too much as well. I think with the increase in the Conservancy District, I think some of that was the front porch. I mean, as I said, I like a front porch. But I think to maybe eliminate some of the other porches and to change the roof pitch, and even if it means increasing the height, I think would be okay.
And who do we have left? Ed? Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. Pretty much everything's been said.
I don't either. I don't think it would, I don't have anything else to add. I agree with all my colleagues. So I think you have two choices: ask us to vote or withdraw.
Okay, I will not be asking for a vote. So we would ask to please withdraw without prejudice. It seems like we're on a better path at least, so I think with some revisions we'll be back
Yep, okay, sounds like a plan. Paul?
I'll move to grant the requested withdrawal without prejudice.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
I vote yes.
Paul votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, now we're gonna go to, 297 Shore Road. Is that gonna be a long one? Kinda. I think we're going to take a 5-minute break before this one. It might be a long one. Wait a minute, hold on. 297 Shore Road, right? That's next? Yeah, we're 5-minute break, very quick. we are back. Okay, Sarah, next application.
Application number 25-092, CBI Owner LLC, care of Paul Muldoon, 693 Main Street, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 297 Shore Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 16E, Block 26, Lot F12. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming structure on a conforming lot via the demolition of the existing structure, Bayview Cottage, and the construction of a new structure in a conforming location on the lot. The existing structure is non-conforming in that it is located 25.4 feet from the road where a 40-foot setback is required. The proposed structure will comply with the setback requirements of the bylaw. The building coverage will remain 47,463 square feet, 20.8%, where 10% is the maximum allowed. The lot contains 229,685 square feet of buildable upland in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Andrew Singer, attorney in Dennisport, here on behalf of the applicant. With me is Paul Muldoon, the project architect, and in the audience we have Tom Jennings, who is the director of engineering for Chatham Bars Inn Resort. We are here, as you read, for 297 Shore Road. The property is located in the R40 district, and this is part of the pre-existing non-conforming Chatham Bars Inn Resort property. Bayview Cottage, as you can, if we pull up the site plan, is one of two structures that are within the front setback to Shore Road, and you can see it on the site plan here. That shaded one where the cursor is Bayview. That's the building today. Excuse me, that's the building today. What is being proposed is to remove the building from there. It's a one-story building, to rebuild it further in the center of the property where it's kind of an orange color, down there in the center there. The footprint of the structure is going to stay the same. There will be a second story, but the footprint is going to stay the same, so there'll be no change in site coverage, which is pre-existing non-conforming on the property, but the encroachment into the front setback from Shore Road will be eliminated. Where the existing cottage is now, there is equipment in the basement there. What they are proposing is to just put a patio, extend the patio over that foundation where the existing equipment will remain. There will be, as I noted, no change in the pre-existing non-conforming building coverage. There will be 2 units in the replacement building instead of 1. However, there will be no net change in density, sewage flow, or parking because they're removing a unit elsewhere in the resort. So they're working with the Board of Health, they're going to work with the Board of Health to, not change the room count. Although this building itself will have an extra key, the whole property will not. Building height will be conforming. It's going to be well conforming, under 24 feet. So even with the second story is going to be a conforming height. The setbacks of the replacement structure are going to be completely conforming as well. In order to complete the work, we've applied to you for a special permit under 5B and 48 Section 6. The legal standard you're looking at is if the project is substantially more detrimental than what is there today, and reviewing the findings that are in the zoning bylaw. Before I discuss the findings, I was going to ask Mr. Muldoon to just go through the building itself, and then I'll come back and discuss those.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Sarah, if you could put the site plan back up. So the architecture here is taking cues from the 11 other cottages on the property. We've tucked the structure between Primrose and Blue Mist so that you can see that there is this, we're up a bit of an elevation. We're between Primrose and Blue Mist, and we have a really beautiful framed water view from both the first floor of living space and the second floor of bedroom space. The architecture itself is made up almost as a duplex, where it's one side, one key, the other side, another key, and you have living space on the first floor, access to a patio, as every other unit does from the 11 other cottages, and then a bedroom space on the upper level. It's a cape, and the materials structure is going to mimic exactly what's there with regards to the 11 other cottages: white cedar shingles, painted trim, wood roof lines. This is, the 3D view is here looking at that water view, so we have a couple of large doors glass doors from the living space and a couple of large doors onto a Juliet balcony on the second floor. The Juliet balcony is enough to lean out the door, not step out. And then the railing systems themselves, both on the Juliet balconies and on the Widow's Walk, are in tune with the railings around the main hotel and some of the other cottages on the property. Bay windows here on either side, a couple of awning windows strategically placed, all within a grid frame that is similar to what you'd see throughout Chatham Bar's Inn property.
Regarding the findings that are set forth in the zoning bylaw, we respectfully submit that we do not believe that the project will be substantially more detrimental or detrimental at all to the neighborhood, and that it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, convenience, or general welfare of the town, and that it satisfies all of the specified criteria. As for the adequacy of the size of the site, the property has been developed and used for a resort for more than a century. We're not changing the size of the property. We're not changing the footprint of the building itself. We're improving the setback to eliminate the nonconformity for the setback, for the Shore Road setback. Density, parking, and traffic will not change, so we would submit that the site remains suitable and adequate for the continued use. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. In this case, as I noted, the front setback is being eliminated, so it'll become conforming. With the replacement cottage being in the center of the property, it's actually more conforming with the structures right around it. We don't believe we believe it's in keeping with a more broader neighborhood as well, with the houses that are up and down Kettledrum Lane principally, because it's closer to Kettledrum than it will be to Shore Road. The building coverage is not going to change at all. Visibility is actually, I think, going to be improved from removing the cottage that's right at Shore Road. So we would submit that the same size footprint structure, even with the second floor, is compatible with the size of the neighboring properties. As for the extent of any proposed increase in non-conforming nature, there will actually be none. We're eliminating it. So site coverage is staying the same. That's pre-existing non-conforming. The use is not changing, which is pre-existing non-conforming, but the non-conforming setback to Shore Road is being eliminated. So rather than having any increase, we have a reduction in non-conforming nature. As far as suitability of the site and impact, scale, siting, and mass in the neighborhood, I'm kind of repeating myself, but again, we believe that all of those are going to be satisfied, and we don't think there's going to be any negative impact to uses. There is no change of use. Utilities are all remaining the same. Traffic's remaining the same. One thing I would like to just note, you have a letter from a neighbor who doesn't have an objection to the project, but they did request that there not be exterior construction during certain months in 2026. I wanted to say for the record for you, and in case the neighbors here are listening, is that the applicant's proposing to do the work after the 2026 season, so no work is going to be done, before Labor Day of 2026, and your standard construction conditions is what I would expect on any approval. That's acceptable to the applicant.
Okay, good to know. Is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this app? In favor, please go. Yeah? I do that to you all the time. Yeah.
This might be a first for me and Mr. Phillips.
Yes, and Mr. Muldoon.
And
I
Mr.
pick on both of
Muldoon.
you guys. For the record, Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. Chatham Bar's Inn is one of the nicest resorts in the entire world. I think they do a great job down there, and I, have trust in what they want to do, even though I don't really understand the plans. Thank you.
Okay, good to know. Anybody else want to speak in favor? Here are on Microsoft Teams. Seeing none, I will read the correspondences. I think there's two, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Judith Giorgio on 11/4/2025. Our health agent says the proposed reconstruction of the cottage will relocate the existing hotel room cottage into two separate suites with 2 rooms in each. The first floor area do not meet the definition of a bedroom as there is no privacy. Therefore, the cottage will remain classified as a 2-bedroom unit. The property is served by private wastewater treatment facility. Any additional flow to this facility is regulated by the Mass Department of Environmental Protection. I have no concerns regarding this proposal. Next, we have a note from Carolyn and Richard Comfort, received on November 4th, 2025. This letter is being written in response to your notice for application 25-092. We're in a butter of interest since we own two houses directly next to Chatham Bars Inn, 28 Kettle Drum Lane and 221 Shore Road. We are writing this letter not in as objection to the application, but as a request that you specify certain restrictions about demolition construction, since we'll be occupying the property during the entire month of April 2026 and not be either occupying or renting our property from June 1 to September 15th. We'll request demolition construction not take place during these time periods. And that pretty much concludes her correspondence. Is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak against or has a question? No. All right, questions from the board. Mr. Dixon, questions?
Just had one. You've added the widow's walk, or whatever we want to call it, which was not on the existing cottage. It seems to me to be totally out of place with what you've done below. And Mr. Singer, in your comments about the great views from the first floor, second floor, and all that kind of stuff, isn't that enough? I don't understand the need for that or why you would think it improves the appearance. Question.
And from a legal point of view, I'll respond that I don't think that it's conforming, so I don't think it is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. But as to your specific question, since Mr. Muldoon had said what you just said, I'm going to let him respond because I can't answer that.
Okay.
So similarly to the hotel, this provides an outdoor private space for each user. So they can go to this upper level, experience the view from a very strategic location, and have a private space that's just their own.
Okay, questions? Mr. Acton?
The plans don't show access to it, or am I missing that?
The stairs are
The
stacked.
stairs are stacked?
Yes.
Okay. And it shows fireplaces, I assume those are gas fireplaces?
You're looking at the existing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
the
So
floor
there'll be
plan
no
comparison.
fireplaces. I was wondering where you were going to vent them. Okay. And then, Mr. Singer, you mentioned the existing foundation of the current building is being saved because there's equipment in it?
Yes, excuse me. Actually, I might have, can ask Mr. Jennings, he can tell you more about what it is, but
Okay.
yes, it is used, and so what they're proposing is rather than ripping it all out, they were gonna just extend the patio on top of it, but he could address that.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name's Tom Jennings, Director of Engineering for the Chatham Bars Inn. It's mostly data lines that we're running that attaches to other cottages and so on. So it'd be a lot of work in demolition to have to rip up a lot of the property to move all of those lines.
Okay.
Hope
So-
that answers your question.
So the intention is to put like a wood deck, wood structure over it?
We would probably just expand the bluestone that's currently next to it.
Okay.
Bring it around so it looks like it's part of the facility and not change the whole makeup of the area.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Veach, questions?
No questions, Randy, thanks.
And how about Jenny?
Just a quick follow-up to that. And what do you plan to put there? Not equipment or nothing? It'll just be open on that.
On the extended bluestone
Yes.
patio?
Yes.
It would just be possible chairs, just like a decking area, similar to what we have next to it, and just complete that area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve?
I don't have any questions specifically about the project. I think it's a good project, but I wanted to commend you for putting the existing and the proposed elevations on the same page so that you can see them in one view instead of having to flip back and forth between 12 pages of printout. So I appreciate that. But I think it's a good project. Thank you.
Lee?
No questions.
Paul, questions?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the question of the existing cottage and the foundation and capping it over. So when you do that, and then you build a new cottage, you're not affecting coverage in any way?
It does not affect building coverage, because building coverage it's the same, there's no roof on it, so it's outdoor space, but there's no building coverage. So the building coverage that's, we don't have the site plan up, but the building coverage where the building is now is relocating to the new location.
But what about the roof you're putting on the existing foundation? Doesn't that become additional coverage?
No, there won't be any foundation.
Yeah,
There'll be nothing built on that structure.
You have to talk into the mic.
Got it, I was getting closer. I remember what you said earlier.
I did.
There'll be nothing changed, we'll be just removing the actual structure from that foundation, so that concrete piece will still be there.
Right. So you've got a structure there.
There'll be nothing
Now
above
you're
grade.
creating a new structure that's the same size. So isn't that increasing building coverage?
No, because the putting the patio over the foundations there would submit is not a building. There's nothing above grade. So we weren't seeing that as building coverage.
I'm going to go to our building commissioner just to confirm that. Paul, would that help?
Sure.
I don't know if it'll help or
Always
not.
anxious
I
to hear
mean,
what Jay says.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that when they said it was going to be raised, that it would be completely removed and that, there wouldn't be anything there. And then I heard that they were going to extend the patio. So if leaving the foundation there and doing a structural slab over the top of that, to put a new patio, that might be considered additional building coverage.
I mean, this is right next to the area that's used for cocktails for everybody before going into dinner or locals coming over for cocktails and looking out over the harbor and so forth. It's that whole seating area. And it sounds as if what's going to happen is that there's going to be a patio cover to that, and then that's going to be used for seating. So I'm trying to figure out how there isn't an impact on coverage and/or the environment in the sense that you've already disturbed the environment with the first cottage, and now you're building a brand-new one. In an area that does not have that building.
As far as that disturbance, it's not floodplain land, so we're not, it's upland. So from that point of view, all the work, whether where the cottage is now or the new location, is regular upland. I know we don't have that all that often, but that's what it is in this case. As far as the separate issue that you've asked, that, could be a question, as Mr. Jennings had noted, the desire to leave if there was no foundation, just to hypothetically carry this through, if there was going to be a patio, let's say we're going to extend the patio on grass, right? So there's no existing foundation under it. That wouldn't be building coverage, correct? Because it would just be site coverage, but that's fine. So the question the question that has been raised, and again, where I was seeing it as, again, I'm not an engineer, but I was just looking at it as, since it wasn't above grade, and it was just capping what was there, I had not been looking at that as building coverage. That's just my answer and my response to the question being raised.
And it's going to be more like a vault for us to keep our equipment that's in there now. Presently, just keep it there so we know where it's at where it used to be for years.
Yeah, how deep is it?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I guess
About 5 feet? So just so you know, it's not, so I said foundation, but Mr. Muldoon's saying it goes down about 5 feet. So it's not a crawl space, but it's not a full foundation either.
Paul, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm going to defer to Jay Briggs as to whether there's an issue there or not. It seemed to me as if when I looked at the proposal, I thought, well, what's going to happen to that foundation? And I read that it was going to be left there and I guess be used for equipment now. But what happens there, it seems to me, you're taking one cottage and moving it to another location, but you're still using the land that the first cottage was on. So that's what's confusing me as to whether it's appropriate. Go ahead, Mr. Briggs.
So the access would be through the bulkhead that currently exists? Is that correct?
Essentially.
Okay. And I think I think it's higher than 5 feet. I've been in there for inspections, and I know there is equipment in there. But, so you wouldn't really be eliminating the nonconformity to Shore Road then, I guess, right, if the foundation is going to remain?
Well, again, I think it comes back to whether or not it's considered a building or not for your analysis purposes. From the point of view of the applicant, and that's why I just asked Mr. Jennings, Mr. Muldoon, if the board, if the board said, if the building inspector, building commissioner determines that, it's structural, then it can be removed, as Mr. Jennings said. They'd have to move the sprinkler main, they'd have to move the lines, there might be more disruption, throughout the property below grade, but it could be done. So if the board, since it's not really, what we're talking about is not necessarily a zoning issue so much as a building issue, if the board wanted to, and because we may not be able to answer that whole question, the reason why I'm about to say this, we may not be able to answer the whole question while we're standing here today. If the board sees fit that the building itself, the relocated cottage, is acceptable, maybe the board could vote to approve with a condition that if the building commissioner determines that the existing foundation / vault is structural in nature, then the applicant would remove it.
So I was going to ask, so there is a way that you could take everything out and leave it permeable? Is that,
Well, they could move all the wires in the sprinkler main, you're saying?
and then just have dirt, grass there, leave it, better, we're talking about the environment, which is in our criteria. It is.
The answer is yes. So
You could do that.
a full raise, the full foundation, all of the plumbing work and wires would be removed to a major disturbance to the property. And then whether it's grass or whether it's permeable patio that goes back over, we're not that far along yet.
Right, so we could condition it as such, perhaps, maybe.
You could. I would ask you to only entertain that if the building commissioner ultimately determines that there's a zoning reason for that. Because again, the question in looking at it is something substantially more detrimental. Is in this case, you have a cottage that's there now, you see it from Shore Road. At the end of the day, forgetting what we call this thing, you'll be seeing ground. The building will be gone from that location. So we'd submit that, from a visual point of view, from an environmental point of view, there's going to be no negative change nor detrimental change to the environment or the site in that particular part of the property. So that's why if the board is willing to let us ultimately work at it with the building commissioner. But if he ultimately says, to your point, Madam Chair, if he says, no, it's got to come out, then as you've heard, it can come out.
I don't know if he wants that on his shoulders, but do you?
I don't want it on my shoulders at the moment, but, I will give it some serious consideration. I mean, buildings and structures need to meet setbacks. Yes, it's not a building any longer, but it's still a structure, so.
It's still a structure.
And then, it may be considered roofed area and count towards coverage. So it's something I need to think about. 'Cause
But it's still a structure, yes?
it would still be a structure.
Okay, well, I think that's all we need to know in my limited capability here. I think if it's a structure, you agree, Paul, that if it's a structure?
Well, I think what I agree is that it would make sense to me if we deferred this and let Mr. Briggs look at the question and let them come back and tell us whether there is or is not an issue here.
I was actually going to suggest the same thing, maybe
Yeah.
continue, let us offline discuss this question.
Yeah, that's a good idea, especially in the light, the fact that you're not going to even start any of this for a while.
Oh, yeah, we're not planning on doing
Yeah,
it
yeah,
immediately.
that sounds like good. So a continuance would work? You want us,
That would be fine.
all right, so you're asking us to continue it?
Well, I'd ask if there's any other comment from the board
Oh,
before you continue, but if
No,
not.
no, we
then-
could totally do that. Does anybody else want to add anything before we kind of get back to this? I don't think anyone does. No.
Great.
All right, good. So we have to just figure out what day,
To figure out a day.
in January, February?
I was hoping that it would be sooner than that.
Oh, sooner, okay.
Because it should just be a vote as we are in, oh, no, we're only in questions. We haven't started deliberations yet. We have 7 on November 20th, 9 on November 4th, 8 on November 18th, 5 on January 8th right now, so it's up to the board as to how much discussion you think you're going to need for this.
We have a slot January 8th, right?
We have space January 8th, we have space January 22nd. It's,
Why don't we let Mr. Singer pick?
January 8th is fine.
Okay.
All right, I'll move to grant the requested continuance to January 8th, 2026.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All those yes.
Ginny?
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah,
good.
we'll meet with Mr. Briggs and we'll.
Yes, of course. Thank you. All right, now we're going to the penultimate, Uncle Levi's, second to the last application, 23 Uncle Levi's Lane.
application number 25-094, the Chatham Sanctuary LLC, care of Jeffrey Klein, 17 King Philip Road, Sudbury, Mass. 01776. Owner of property located at 23 Uncle Levi's Lane, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 2B, Block 21, Lot E9. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the partial demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of additions. The existing dwelling is non-conforming in that it is located 6.4 feet from the easterly abutter. The proposed addition will be non-conforming in that there will be located 12.5 feet from the easterly abutter where a 15-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,085 square feet, 12.4%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,308 square feet, 15%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 8,724 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Welcome. Just state your names and tell us what you want to do.
Jeff Klein.
Jess Reel.
Welcome, yes?
We've been, since we've met, we found out we've both been coming to Chatham for the summers for about 20 some odd years, and we have a small family that we want to keep coming down to this wonderful place, and,
House is just a little small for two toddlers running around that we didn't know the first 4 years we were there, but we love the neighborhood and love the location so much, so hoping that we can expand, just have more living space, not looking to add more bedrooms, just expand the living space in the home.
I know we're improving on existing non-conforming conditions on the back of the house, and we're just very excited for the project. And
Did you get a copy of the special permit criteria? You want me to just go through it with you, just make sure that we touch base?
Yeah.
Yeah, so adequacy of the size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot, or building coverage and setbacks. So you think the site is adequate for what you want to do?
correct, yes.
Yep. And pretty compatible with other structures in the property?
Absolutely.
In the neighborhood? Yeah.
You drive
And,
down Wadsworth and Woodland, you'll see.
And what's your viewpoint on the extent of proposed increase in non-conforming nature of the structure?
There is no increase. We're actually decreasing.
There you go. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to, impact on neighboring properties, the natural environment. What do you say about number 4?
There's no impact.
No? Does it improve it at all in any way? Just wondering.
I don't know.
Sometimes you're going
there is
to take out some invasives and things like that.
If there are any invasives, I
All right.
promise we'll take them out.
That's good. And poison ivy? Just-
Oh, God, yeah, get out of here, please.
Now, impact of scale, siting, and mass on neighborhood visual character. You're pretty tucked in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses, same, so.
Yep.
Yep. And then you have sewage disposal, source of water and drainage, you're all set with that?
Yep.
Noise and litter, no change, right?
Yep.
Impact on traffic and safety?
And there's only 2 houses down the lane.
Yeah, I
past
couldn't
us,
even
so
find,
I don't
couldn't even find your house.
Yeah, most people
All right.
can't.
Yep. Okay, it looks like you certainly reached out to your neighbors, because now I have to read all these letters. All right. Is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this project? If so, please raise your hand. In favor? No? Okay, now, some of these are forms, so I think this is the one with the forms that I don't have to read them all.
We did have one neighbor here that
Yeah.
wrote a letter, but she didn't know she was supposed to, she already
Well,
spoke, but.
I asked if there's anybody that wants to speak in favor. No, that's great. Okay, very good. So our first note is from Christina Bassett, received on November 4th, 2025. The CHC found that this home not historically significant, so they did not impose a demolition delay. Next, we have an usual note from our health agent, Judith Giorgio, 11/4/2025. I reviewed the plan to add an addition to the dwelling. The existing dwelling is approved for 6 bedrooms. The proposal includes converting one of the first-floor bedrooms into a playroom. In accordance with the Board of Health definitions, the entryway to this room must be widened to a minimum of 5 to 6 feet to ensure it no longer meets the definition of a bedroom. The plan also includes relocating the septic tank. The septic permit is required prior to any work related to the relocation of the tank. Next, we have a note from, let's see, Tom and Jane Leahy from 27 Pleasant Place. We, the undersigned residents of 23 Uncle Levi's Lane, wish to express our support for the proposed addition to the property owned by Jessica Reel and Jeff Klein. We understand the project seeks zoning relief to construct an addition that will improve and modernize the existing residence while improving the current non-conforming conditions. Based on our review of the plans and understanding the scope, we believe the proposed work is both reasonable and appropriate for the neighborhood. In our opinions, the addition will be consistent with scale and character of the surrounding homes and enhance the appearance and value of the property. For these reasons, we support the approval for 23 Uncle Levi's. Did I? Okay.
So now you just read the name.
Okay, so the names also include Karen Pogge of 342 Pleasant Street, and Deborah Harry of 305 Pleasant Street, Nancy Staub, 19 Uncle Levi's Lane, John White, 19 Uncle Levi's Lane, Christopher Yotides at 335 Pleasant Street, Peter Hogan at 310 Pleasant Street, Alice Webster at 52 Forest Beach Road Extension, R. Renate Pogge and Caroline Pogge, H. Bernard Pogge Trust, and, okay, let's see. That, do I have to, good enough?
That's it.
Yep, very good, very good. So, now is there anybody that wishes to speak against this application or has a question? Anywhere at all? Online, here? No? Okay. Mr. Veach, questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
Ed?
Are your kids at Noyes or Nixon?
Loring.
Loring, okay. Raised my kids in Sudbury as well.
Yeah. Good question.
It would appear that someone has been using property behind your house that isn't exactly within your plot plan. That wouldn't be the two of you, would it? Maybe, huh?
That might have been the previous homeowners.
You're talking about the behind the bushes area? Like
I'm talking about, I think I saw a swing set.
Yep.
Yep.
And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So do you have did you rent that from your neighbor? Do you have
After the historic meeting, I actually took Noel out. We sat over coffee for about an hour, and we agreed that we will move the swing set once we improve the non-conforming existing conditions on his property line, where we remove that structure. That's where we're going to place the swing set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lee?
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually have a question regarding the patio. First of all, I think this looks like a great plan. I think it's going to give you, everything you want.
Thank you.
And it's a great creative way to reconfigure stuff inside. But the actual deck with the patio with the deck above, the drip-through deck, does that count as building coverage, even though it's a drip-through deck?
If the water can get through it, then it wouldn't be included in building
Oh, all right.
coverage.
That's awesome. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
And Steve?
I think it's a good project. I don't think I really have any questions, but I guess I want to warn you about, you're right up against the 15% maximum
Yep.
coverage.
Yeah, we've had conversations.
And there's
about that.
members that are becoming less sympathetic about going over that 15%. So have your contractor be very careful.
Good advice.
We've had the discussion of wherever it's staked out, bringing an inch in.
Yes.
That's, I was
Yep.
thinking the
All
same
right.
thing, yeah. Ginny?
Follow-up question to Lee's about the patio with the drip-through deck. So it's, and to Steve's point, so that today is not considered a structure because the water can go through. Is that literally going to be, the bottom part is maybe patio, like slate or something?
We're
and
planning
then
on concrete papers.
Concrete?
Yeah.
And then the top is going to be like regular decking?
Yeah, like AZEC.
Okay, but just making sure you understand, if you ever said, oh, it'd be nice to not have the water running through this, that then would be a problem. You would be over your coverage.
Okay.
Okay, just wanted to
No, understood.
point that out.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to just understand what the flooring situation was of that top
Yeah.
deck. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And Paul?
Yeah, you're gonna be careful with the coverage. I guess you've been hearing that quite a bit.
Yes.
And hopefully we won't see you back here for that. I walk past that area frequently. I didn't realize Uncle Levy's went past 19.
Yeah.
That you actually go in there and hang a right and go. So it's certainly isolated. I have no other questions.
Yeah, yeah, so the reason why everybody's wanting you is because it's not the same criteria that you have there. If you had to come back and you went over, it's a variance. Are you a builder yourself?
I work in remodeling in
Yeah,
Boston.
that your neighbor showed me where your house was and everything, and she said that you were gonna do it, or that you knew what you were doing, basically. And, and that's great. Okay, so I don't have anything further to add. Paul?
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Dave Each seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. All right, deliberations. Ginny?
Well, I think it's a great location. And I think it's a great redesign. You are doing a lot on a small lot. Your lot is 8,700 square feet. But I think it's a terrific plan, and it barely, but it does meet the criteria.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve?
I think it's a good idea, a nice project, and if there's anything that you can do to make living with some Tylers, then I congratulate you. So good
Rainy
luck.
days are hard right now.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you very much.
And Lee?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I think it looks like a great plan, working with what you have, making it work better for you guys.
Yeah, Paul?
I agree with my colleagues.
Dave? You?
I've been doing this for a while, and I've never been down Uncle Levi's Road before. So thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome.
I love to go to someplace new. Good luck.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
And Ed?
No, I think it's going to be a great project. In addition to coverage, which you have to be careful of, also setbacks in Chatham, it's off corner boards, not off the foundation, which is different than a lot of towns. So just
Be very mindful.
consult with everyone before you
Thank you, Ed.
go forward. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And Mr. V?
Yeah, I agree, and the reason I was hesitant in the question was, but everybody else took care of it. I just wanted to
Yeah.
caution them about being right up against the limit, so.
Then you put us on a guilt trip if you have to come back. And then we say, oh, it's only a couple
We'll
of
bring the
inches.
kids with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we hate when that happens. It happens a lot, yeah. Maybe like, I don't know, 5, 6 times a year even, could.
We'll bring it
that
back in a
much.
couple inches instead of one.
Yeah, very good, very
Well, when,
good.
if you exceed and it comes to us sometimes when it just needs an extension of the special permit. In your case, it would need a variance, which is a whole different ballgame, and we don't like to even entertain variances.
Yes.
So that's the thing.
All right, so Paul?
I'll move to approve the application as submitted, I
With the
guess,
summertime restrictions?
our normal summertime restrictions, given that congested neighborhood. So all construction work, construction activity and vehicles shall be contained on site or at a neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. That between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed. No work shall be permitted on the weekends, and construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
Well, maybe not.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
I vote yes.
All vote yes?
Ginny votes yes.
Yeah, it's unanimous. I vote yes. All
Thank
right.
you guys very much. Really
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, we only have one more application, and that is 16 C Strand Lane.
Application number 25-096, Elliott Nominee Trust, care of Josiah Boyer, 33 Carriage Lane, Barnstable, Mass. 02630. Owner of property located at 16 C Strand Lane, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 8D, Block 2B, Lot RR10. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling on a nonconforming lot via the construction of an addition. The proposed addition will comply with bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 1,553 square feet, 10.2%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,896 square feet, 12.4%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 15,270 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Welcome. Just state your name if you would.
Josiah Boyer, and I'm here on behalf of Mary Beth Elliott and her husband Chris Elliott. I'm part of the design team.
Yep, sure.
So pretty straightforward. The existing house, built in 1974, is too close to the street. The minimum setback is 25 feet, and we're at 23.8. We're looking to put a family room on the back of the house that is conforming.
Okay, do you want to just quickly race through the criteria that you think might be applicable? You think the size is adequate?
Yeah, so the maximum is 15%. We're adding 343 square feet, and we're going to be at 12.43%.
Yeah, and you're compatible with the other structures and
Yeah,
neighboring properties?
15 C Strand is 3,000 square feet, so we're going to be way under that.
Yep, very good. And the suitable site?
Yeah,
No ding to the neighboring properties in any way? or
no,
natural
it's going to
environment?
be an improvement, absolutely.
Yeah, great. No big impact in scale, sighting, and mass on visual character, correct?
It's obscured by the front of the house, but it's pretty regardless.
And it seems like there's not going to be any impact on traffic, safety, noise, litter, sewer disposal, any of that?
Nope.
All right, very good. Is there anybody here on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this project? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will read the one note we got from our health agent, Judith Giorgio, on, let's see, November 4th, 2025. She had no concerns to the addition of the family room off the kitchen with direct access to garage. Judy. All right. There's that. Anybody here on Microsoft Teams wish to speak against or has a question? Given that there's no one here on Microsoft Teams, does the board have any questions? No?
No, I'll move to close the hearing and move.
Oh, wait a minute, Steve.
Yes, Steve.
I just wanted to make one point. It's nothing really about the project, but I think it's a documentation error.
Sure.
On page A1, for instance, it shows the rear and right elevations, but at the bottom of the page, it describes the front elevations. I think some of the keys are off.
Okay, sure, that's a formatting error on our
Yeah,
part. Yep.
and the next page shows, I think A2 is the same deal. The key on the bottom doesn't match the drawings.
Understood.
Okay.
All right, so the question is, why did you make those mistakes?
I have an
That's okay, I'm just
infinite
joking.
home. I haven't
I'm just
slept
joking.
in weeks, so that's my
Oh.
excuse.
There you go. Very good. Good answer. All right, Paul?
I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All vote yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. Okay, deliberations. Wasn't one person say it for all, perhaps. Steve, you want to do it?
I think it's a nice project, and they should move forward steadfastly.
And does it meet all the conditions?
It certainly doesn't, and is not detrimental to anyone.
All right. Anybody else want to just say ditto? Everybody should.
I agree with Steve.
Lee?
I agree.
I think it'll make Steve feel better if we all agree with Steve.
Yes.
Yes.
You agree with Steve?
Yes, of course I do.
I agree, and thank you for the extent of the staking out with the yellow tape and everything. You couldn't miss where it was going.
Mr. Veach?
Yes, count me in, and it's also good to know that no one's going to be driving down the extension of Geranium Drive and possibly into the backyard here, so.
No, that's that paper street, right?
Right, that's the
Yeah,
paper street.
okay.
So, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, that was not good. All right, Paul?
I'll move to approve the application as submitted with, I guess, the usual restrictions that all construction activity and vehicles shall be contained on site or at a neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed, no work shall be permitted on the weekends, and construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Yes.
All votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So that concludes our agenda for today. And let's see. See you next week. The week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that.
I will move to adjourn.
Dave Veach seconds and votes yes.
Ed votes yes.
I vote yes.
All votes yes.
I vote yes.
Steve votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
As do I. And let's see, what time is it?
4:27 PM.
Okay. Good evening, Chatham.